Huh? Huh? What is this? What's going on? Hey, was that? Yeah, it had to be. Alter ego. Alter ego? Is this some stupid virus from that stupid guy? He must have planted it when he invaded my network. Damn it, all to hell. I don't believe this.
It would seem...
It seems you finally made a miscalculation. No, you miscalculated from the very beginning.
What the heck?
What was that?
In other words...
What I'm trying to say is, you should have underestimated us. Why are you talking like you already won? I barely felt a thing. It was a pinch, an itch. That super virus is gone now. Got it? And so is Makoto. Maybe I didn't get to smash him flat, but you're never gonna see him again. You waste away a garbage-strewn pit. That, in a way, that's even better than special punishment. But still not enough. I'm still not satisfied. I'm gonna bring despair to the rest of you. He brings despair to the entire world. Is he gone? Hey Kyoko, what's the meaning of all this? Just what the hell is going on?
Calm down.
It's okay. We're not the ones being trapped this time. Huh?
In other words...
Now it's the mastermind that's in staring.
What did you say?
So...
You'll understand soon enough. Very soon indeed. The massive high school towers all over the other buildings in the urban area. It's like the school stands at the center of the entire world. Hope's Peak Academy. It brings in top students from every field imaginable, a government-funded school of privilege. They say that if you come here and manage to graduate, you'll be set for life. With hundreds of years of tradition, it sends the cream of the crop into the workforce every year. It was built to raise hope in the nation's future, which makes Hope's Peak a pretty fitting name. There are two things you need to attend the school. One, you have to already be attending high school. Two, you have to be the very best at what you do. No ordinary student could enroll here. The only way in is if you are scouted by the school itself. And standing there at the gate of the ultimate school filled with ultimate students was me. Huh? What? Where am I? I woke up with my head resting on top of a hard wooden desk. My body felt heavy. It would have been weird for me to zonk off in the middle of some boring class or whatever, but what was I doing just sleeping here just now? It wasn't any classroom I've been in before. What the heck is going on? Finally. I could finally feel my mind-body start to come back again, and then I was awake. Or was this just another dream? A dream in a hopeless nightmare? No, this isn't a dream. I could tell because the stench invading my nostrils was too powerful for a dream. What an awful smell. I was in a vast, dark cavern with the barest hint of light seeping in. Trash was piled high all across the area. This must be some kind of underground garbage pit. A heck of a situation to find myself in. But that was just the beginning of my problems. Was I going to be stuck in there till I wasted away and died? No, I can't let that happen. Not after what my good friend went through to save me. I remembered all too well what had happened. Alter Ego saved me, and he had used up the last little bit of his strength to do it. How do you know his last bit? So I can't give up now. For myself, and for my friend! And with that, my pursuit of survival began. First up was looking for a way out of here. It's locked. No matter how many times I pushed, pulled, or kicked it at it, it didn't budge. Getting out of here isn't going to be easy. Well, if I'm not going to get out of here anytime soon, I decided to look around for some food. There's plenty of food here, but it's all rotten. That was pointless too. Next, I searched for some water. How can I be sure which liquids I can drink, and which ones are an all-around bad idea? Again, pointless. I felt like I'm blocked on all sides. But that's still not enough reason to give up because I'm still alive. As long as I'm alive, I'll never give up. After making that proud declaration, the next thing I decided to do was go to sleep. My sleep was deep and uninterrupted. That was the only way to preserve what little strength I had left after not being able to eat or drink. I can't be sure, but I think at least a full day had passed, and all I did was sleep and sleep. It was like I was waiting for some kind of sign to come falling out of the sky. However, what fell from the sky wasn't a sign, not exactly. What the? The strange sound pierced my silent isolation, jarring me awake. As I watched, piles of garbage jostled and formed an odd shape. Did something fall down over there? Something fell from above. What could it have been? Did a giant piece of trash just fall down here? I carefully stretched my hand toward whatever it was that had tumbled down here with me.
Just a second.
A giant piece of trash? Rude. Before she even emerged from the pile of garbage, I knew who it was.
It smells awful.
This place smells awful. Kyoko! You look like you're doing better than I expected. What are you doing here?
So...
Isn't it obvious? I'm here to help you. I'm glad to hear that, Kyoko. You got a bit of garbage in your hair. She gave her head a quick, sharp shake to get rid of the trash, then she faced me again. First, I have something for you. Go ahead and eat it. We can talk once you're finished. Thank you! I snatched the bread and water she was holding out for me. Within seconds, it was in my mouth and making its way towards my stomach. Phew, that really hit the spot. Now I got all the energy I need to keep going. So you still haven't given up then? Of course not. After all, the fact that I can keep going forward is about all I'm good at. Well, that's not such a bad thing to be good at. But Kyoko, why'd you come to rescue me? To pay a debt, or no, to atone. Atone? During the trial, even though you knew I was lying, you didn't say anything. So you knew that I knew.
Indeed.
But even though I knew, I did nothing to help you. I abandoned you. Don't say that, you didn't abandon me. No, that's exactly what I did. I abandoned you in order to save my own life. You were trying to save me, and I couldn't bring myself to do the same for you.
However...
But listen, I'm not going to make excuses, but there was a reason that I had to survive, no matter the cost. Why did you have to survive?
It's true.
I'll tell you everything. The reason I had to survive...
In other words...
It's so that I can do what I came to the school to do. What? I made up my mind to come to Hope's Peak Academy for one very important reason. So you have reason for coming to Hope's Peak.
Indeed.
That's right, at least I did once. Once. Until recently, I'd forgotten what it was. You forgot, but that's... I have no memory of what my purpose was. No memory, that's impossible. Amnesia. Then, is it really true you lost your memory?
Makoto.
Do you remember, Makoto? Do you remember the first thing that happened to each of us as soon as we arrived at this school? The first thing. You're talking about when we fainted, right? I fainted, and when I woke up, I was trapped here.
That's right.
I fainted too. And when I woke up, I noticed a strange feeling of separation within myself, a disconnect.
It would seem...
Thinking back on it now, at that point, my memory was gone. At that time, I'd forgotten. I couldn't remember why I'd come to the school, and I couldn't remember what my ultimate ability was. But what made you forget all of that?
Hey.
Strange, isn't it? It's hard to imagine it happened by chance. It seems much too convenient. Are you saying you think you lost your memory because...
Indeed.
I don't think. I'm positive it was the work of the mastermind. They stole my memory. But why would they want to do that? There's only one reason I could come up with. Because of my purpose and my ability, somehow they would interfere with the mastermind's plans. So the mastermind just stole them from you?
However...
And it could also mean, somehow my memories may be connected to the mystery of the school and the mastermind, which is why I have to get them back, which is why I've been investigating things by myself this whole time. But if what you say is true, why didn't you ask the rest of us to help you?
Why is that?
If I did that and we all worked as one, the mastermind would have noticed right away. Plus, there's always the chance that the mastermind is actually one of us. What?
Correct.
Well, don't make too big a deal of it. It's just a possibility. And since it is a possibility, we can't ignore it, right? The mastermind, one of us. If she believed that, then of course she couldn't trust anyone around her. In which case, it only makes sense that she would look into her missing memory by herself.
However...
That being said, there was a limit to what I could do by myself, which is why I asked you to help me. But why me? Because among everyone, you were the least likely to be the mastermind. That was just intuition, but I see. Your intuition was right though. There's no way an ordinary kid like me could have been the mastermind.
I understand. I should understand everything. My goal isn't to get out of here. It's to stay here.
God. It's just like the dream I had before, but why did that just
Listen.
happen? Are you okay? Oh yeah, it's nothing. It is nothing, right?
Hey,
Even now, I still trust you, you know? It's just, I'm not used to relying on others.
correct.
I know I never asked you for help the right way, so I understand if you are not convinced. Honestly, I was convinced. I think that's just her personality. You said you had a reason for doing all that investigation on your own. So how did it turn out? Were you able to remember anything? I think there's still a lot I don't remember, but at the very least, I was finally able to recall my purpose and my ability. You mentioned your ability. My ability, what everyone should have known me for. I'm the ultimate detective. The ultimate detective?
Correct.
And the reason I came to Hope's Peak Academy, there was someone I had to find in here, in the school. You had to find someone. Who?
So,
Well, it was the headmaster of the Hope's Peak Academy. The headmaster? Why did you want to find the headmaster? Because he's my father. What?
in other words,
I was separated from him as a child. As it turned out, he became the headmaster of Hope's Peak. Kyoko's dad is Hope's Peak headmaster? Then that explains when Alter Ego told us how he thought the headmaster was involved. I'll find a way. Huh? No matter what it takes, I will find the
No matter
headmaster, no
what?
matter the cost.
So,
Kyoko, what's going on? My memory hadn't come back at that point, but when he said that, I felt strange. It makes perfect sense now, of course, since my whole purpose for coming here was to find him. That makes sense.
however,
But listen, Makoto, I want to make this perfectly clear, so there's no misunderstanding. I said the headmaster wasn't the mastermind, but I didn't say that to protect him. I only said what I felt based on what I'd seen when I snuck into the headmaster's room. Then, what did you see in there?
so,
The room had been ransacked. The shelves were a mess. The desk drawers dumped on the floor. The only conclusion is that someone who didn't know where anything was had been in there. You mean that mastermind, right?
it's true.
That was my assumption, yes, and to confirm my suspicion, I decided to investigate the second floor of the dorms using the key I found. But why there? Because I also found this in the headmaster's room. This is some kind of map?
Indeed.
It's a layout of the entirety of Hope's Peak Academy. I found it in the headmaster's room, along with Mukudo's profile in that key. The map showed that the second floor was home to a number of rooms meant for faculty use. Some of the staff must have had to stay overnight from time to time, and I figured the headmaster would have some kind of private room there. I assumed that if that were true, the room would likely hold more clues, so I went to check.
Correct.
And that's when I finally remembered. I remembered that my purpose was to find the owner of that room. So you went there to see if the headmaster really did have a private room there.
However,
But once I got there, I noticed that the second floor of the dorms didn't have any cameras or monitors. So, what was it like, that part of school, I mean? It's hard to describe. All I can say is, the moment I saw it, I realized whatever's going on in this school is more horrific than we ever imagined. What do you mean?
so,
I can't explain it. You need to see it for yourself, and I'm sure you'll get your chance soon enough. It sounds like it must be important, and really ominous.
however,
Of course, once I got to the second floor of the dorms, there was no cameras, no monitors, which is why I had no idea what was going on in the rest of the building. It has to do with Mukudo Ikasaba, doesn't
however,
it? Just to be perfectly clear, I didn't kill her. And I know it wasn't you either. I know you're right, but that just means everyone but you and me had an alibi. Then who did kill her?
anyway,
What I can say for sure is that the mastermind is directly involved. To begin with, the point of the class trial of Mukudo Ikusaba was to get me killed. Get you killed?
indeed.
I stole the key and disappeared, and in retaliation they wanted to draw me out and eliminate me.
Correct.
That was the point of the class trial. It was? The mastermind knew they couldn't interfere directly. You mean because of the school regulations?
That's right.
Exactly. With minimal restrictions, you're free to explore Hope's Peak Academy at your discretion.
In other words,
The mastermind is adamant about following the rules, and with that rule in place, they couldn't step in. since they couldn't kill me themselves, they had to use the class trial to do it. The mastermind couldn't step in because of the rules. That makes it sound like the mastermind themselves is somehow bound by school regulations. There's one other thing I'd like to point out about the murder of Mukuro Ikusaba. What is that? There was a point where Mukuro may not have become the victim. It could have been you, Makoto. I could have become the victim?
Indeed.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Do you mean during the night? I can hear them, you know? The footsteps of the god of death. What? I can hear the god of death as he moves. That ability naturally draws me into cases just like this.
Anyway.
Which is exactly what happened with you. Oh my gosh, what? She can hear death? So she knows when someone's about to die. I was in the dorms and I had the sudden sense of dread. I looked down the stairwell and I saw a white shadow move across the corridor. I gave a chase right away. As I followed, I saw the shadow go into your room.
Correct.
I ran into your room and I saw what was happening. I intervened immediately, of course.
However,
That wasn't the end of things, of course. I stopped them, but that led to... Whoever the masked assailant was, they ended up dead.
correct.
And their murder was disguised, and the dojo key wound wound up in my room. It all has to be the work of the mastermind, in an attempt to use the class trial to eliminate me. So all this would mean, whoever killed Mukuro is also the mastermind, right?
Indeed.
I don't have conclusive evidence, but that's what I think. But that's really bad if true. It means the mastermind can kill whoever they want if they feel like it. Wait, but doesn't that create another contradiction? The mastermind wanted to use the class trial to kill you because they couldn't interfere, right?
Correct.
You're right, that is a contradiction. And it's not just Mukuro. They needed the class trial to kill me, but it seemed ready to kill you in your room. Everything they did is a contradiction. So what does it mean?
In other words,
It means the mastermind is the one who's been cornered, huh?
Makoto.
Just a little more. Just a little more and I should be able to figure out the mastermind's identity. The identity of the other ultimate despair. The other ultimate despair? There's no doubt that Mukuro was the ultimate despair and that she's dead. But I don't think the ultimate despair is just one person. It's not?
Indeed.
If you think about it, the ultimate despair seems to implicate whoever caused that event. You're talking about
That's right.
what happened a year ago, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. I feel like human history is like a lot, no? Like, there's a lot of things that happen in human history. Like, during World War II, there's so many things. Like, I don't know, the Soviet collectivization, that was pretty crazy experiment. How about like, I don't know, Holocaust? The Holocaust gotta be worse than this. Like, Rwanda genocide? Like, all those things are really bad. But just a room of students being murdered? I don't know about that. It's like, it's not that bad. Although it's pretty bad. Or like, what the Japanese did during World War II? Or what the Americans did during World War II? Bombing Japan? Or like Japan experimenting on humans during World War II? Prisoners of war? Or like the comfort woman? There's so many things in World War II, man. The tragedy, whoever's responsible for that. They're the ultimate despair.
It would seem
That despicable group whose only purpose and motivation comes from despair. Then they are,
indeed.
make no mistake, they are the root of all evil that has forced us to go through this. That is the ultimate despair. That is our real enemy. What? What does this title have to do with it? Oh, so it's actually 6 now. Okay. Dream Island Rocket. I hope they handle the what is it? Thing better now. They'll end up handling the 16th student better later. The ultimate despair. A group of people who caused the tragedy 1 year ago. Those same people put together this killing game and began broadcasting it around the world. The most desperately awful group of people ever. That is the mastermind's true identity. Our enemy has finally been revealed. But right now we have to get out of this horrible place. Figuring out the rest of the story can come later. Yeah, you're right. It's locked, but we have a way to open this door. Kyoko, do you still have one more thing? Monokuma's secret tool you got from the headmaster's
Indeed.
room? Of course I do. It's an absolutely vital part of ensnaring the mastermind. I would never part with it. And it can open any door in this school,
That's
right?
right.
That's right. Then we should be able to use it on the door, right? Hey, Kyoko, we can use that door of yours to open this door, right?
It's true.
Let's find out. Kyoko took out the door with the Monokuma design on it and slid it into a keyhole. And then... yes, it opened.
Indeed.
And now we can get out of here. Let's go. Sounds good. We quickly opened the door and made our escape from the garbage pit. Finally. We're finally free. But there wasn't even time to take a breath of relief, because the real fight had just begun. Ultimate pain, ultimate suffering, ultimate despair, ultimate execution, ultimate death, deadly life. After leaving the garbage pit, we found ourselves in a tunnel extending straight up like a chimney. There was a metal ladder leading up into the tunnel. We started climbing the ladder, intent on reaching the surface. The ladder was impossibly long. I couldn't even see where it ended. We climbed into darkness. The passage was so dark and cramped, I couldn't even see my own feet beneath me. I had no idea we were so
Hey.
far down. Don't lose your footing. If you slip, I won't be able to catch you. Yeah, I'll be careful. But now that you said that, I'm getting kind of nervous. Maybe talking will help keep my mind off of it. So Kyoko, there's something I wanted to ask you. You said you're the ultimate detective, right? So how long have you been doing detective work? How long?
So...
Ever since I can remember. I come from a long line of detectives. Detective work is in my blood. There was a time when being a detective was considered a sacred duty. My family's always seen it that way. Then, is your family famous?
Wrong.
Quite the opposite, actually. Even among actual detectives, many people haven't heard of us. Huh? But how come? It's like your family tradition, right? So,
Right.
because we took pride in it.
Indeed.
Pride. A detective is neither light nor shadow. We represent neither justice or evil. That is how we can uncover the absolute truth. We stand neutral in all things, and to do that, we have to stand separate from the rest of society. Which is why we made a conscious effort to conceal our existence. A conscious effort?
It's true.
It's kind of old-fashioned, and I can't say it's entirely rational. But it's our family creed, and we do what we must to protect it. Because, like I said, it's the source of our pride. So that explains... Before I came here, when I was looking up info about the school online, I never saw anything about her. Because she hid herself on purpose, to protect the pride of her family.
However...
And yet, I gave up some of that pride. Huh?
I...
In order to enter Hope's Peak, I had to reveal myself to the school. I did it knowing that it was something a true kirigiri detective would never do. But the reason you gave up that pride, the reason you would go so far to enter Hope's Peak, it was because how much you wanted to reconnect with your dad, right? There's no shame in that.
What?
Reconnect? I had absolutely no desire to reconnect with my father. Huh? But you'd be reunited you'd be reuniting after all those years, right? You would have so much to talk
Wrong.
about. There's nothing I want to talk to my dad
However-
about. There is something I want to say to him though. What?
I...
No matter what it takes, I have to find him and tell him face to face. What is it?
So...
I want to sever all ties with him. Sever? The last time I saw him, I was still very young. So I don't remember myself, but apparently he was extremely intelligent. He was in line to become the next head of the Kirigiri family. He was talented, he had a promising
However-
future. But he had no interest in detective work, so he cut himself from the family. Not long after that, my mother died, and he simply ran away. He went to my grandfather, and they had a huge argument, and young as I was, he left me behind. I'm sure there's a reason for that. I'm sure your dad wanted to take you
Right.
with him. If that's true, then I need to thank him. Thank him for leaving me. Because unlike him, I take pride in the work I do. I take pride in my family name. So every last part of me is happy he didn't take me with him. If I'd gone with him, I'd never have had the chance to become a detective. I was above Kyoko on the ladder, so I wasn't able to see her expression. So I couldn't tell. I couldn't see how she looked when she said that, what she might have been feeling. All I could tell was that, compared to her usual self, she was more talkative and more emotional. I don't blame him, you know. He had his own life to live. That's what everyone in my position might say, right? but that's not
However,
true. But there's one thing that I can never forgive. Really?
so
The way everyone else looked at me. I was never sad about being left behind, like I said. I think it was a good thing.
however,
But when the rest of my family looked at me, they saw something different. They only saw me as the little girl that was abandoned by her father. That's how they see me even to this day. His shadow has been following me my entire life. I'm sick of it. I need him out of my life. I need to step out of his shadow.
correct.
That's why I have to find him. Tell him we're no longer family. In order to settle the past. In order to remove him from my life forever. I have no doubt he forgot about me some years ago. But your family, you cut him out like that.
Wrong.
Our only connection is through blood, nothing more. Are we connected by heart and soul? No.
Hey.
Is blood really enough to call someone family? Only connected by blood, not by the heart or soul. I was so shocked to hear her say something like that. I didn't know how to respond, so instead, I said nothing. I just kept climbing the ladder in complete silence, and after I don't know how long, we finally reached the top. Looks like this is it.
Indeed.
On the other side of this door, Hope's Peak is waiting for us. We're back.
That's right.
Remember the hatch on the ground near the trash room? I was fairly certain that's where we'll come out. I unlocked it earlier, so it should open without much trouble. Well, here goes nothing. I reached my right hand up and pushed against the hatch. The hatch opened with ease, and so... Looks like we're back.
Phew.
I can't believe how long that ladder was. I'm exhausted. Can't exactly say we're safe and sound, but at least we're out of there. Now we're back at Hope's Peak Academy. Kyoko, thank you. I would never have gotten out of there without you. No thanks necessary. I was just returning the favor. Alright, let's get out of here. What should we do? Maybe I should talk with Kyoko. So what do we do? I'm glad I didn't die, of course, but if the mastermind finds out, and I'm worried about you too. You helped me, so they might...
Listen.
You're worried? Yeah, of course.
So then,
Then let's just get a concrete answer, huh?
in other words,
Let's ask Monokuma if there's a problem with you escaping. Wait, that's...
however,
We tried to hide, it's only a matter of time till we were found out. It's not like we can run away. As she said that, she pointed at the nearby surveillance camera. So you're saying rather than stressing out over getting caught, we should just give up now? Don't worry. What you think is going to happen isn't. Because the mastermind is the one that's ensnared. The mastermind is ensnared. He said something like that before. What does it mean?
so
The mastermind stood exposed during the investigation into Mukuto's death. There was a moment where the mastermind let their guard down. There was?
right.
If we can talk to Monokuma, we can confirm it. And it'll be better for us if we can go to him directly before he tracks us down. That should help with our negotiations. I'm still a little, super uneasy about this. But we don't really have a choice, do we?
Indeed.
Monokuma should be in
Shall
the
we
gym.
go?
Let's get going.
Well,
Hey. Kyoko, I don't mind so much. But Makoto's supposed to be dead. What's he doing here? That's exactly how I thought he'd react. Are we really gonna be okay? You were supposed to be punished. Did Kyoko help you?
What?
So what if I did? What will you do? If the guilty party is exposed during the class trial, they alone will be executed. Which is unfortunate, but that is the rule. So now I gotta punish you again. This time I won't leave anything to chance. Kyoko,
Right.
do whatever you have to. What?
However,
But before you do, let me just say one thing.
no.
If you execute Makoto, that means you lose. Not that it matters to you, right? Huh? I lose? You, explain yourself. What do you mean by that?
Because
Well, you set up this latest class trial yourself, right? I was getting in your way, so you wanted an excuse to kill me.
in other words,
I was supposed to be chosen as blackened and then executed, right? Hey, what are you talking about?
however,
But when Makoto chose to overlook my lie, your plan came crashing down. The result of the trial weren't at all what you were expecting. Because you never imagined that in that position, one person would protect another like that.
right.
And in response to that unexpected development,
Indeed.
you reacted by proclaiming Makoto the blackened and trying to execute him. You made the choice out of desperation. No, more than that. You must have realized that Makoto, who refused to be manipulated, was a threat to you as well. I feel like this is honestly pretty bad writing, because like, why would they trust Kyoko more than Makoto at this point? Like, Kyoko's just as guilty almost. But I guess Makoto is supposed to have that dagger in the first place, so that's possible reason for why. But they also just rebuked the dagger in the first place, so I don't understand why the other people chose Kyoko over Makoto. Oh, I guess, oh yeah, the last part was the wooden key, right? So that made sense, I suppose. But that doesn't explain how Makoto would have had access to the door. Oh, I guess Makoto's the one putting the key in there in the first place when they were walking in. But that's just also convenient. Yakuya should have paid more attention though.
However,
But then there was another unexpected development waiting for you. An entity that would throw a wrench, so to speak, in your precious execution machinery, alter ego. You never imagined the possibility of a being that could come to our aid even after you kill it.
am I wrong?
Now, here's the absolute truth. Makoto didn't kill Mukuto. You did.
Listen to me.
So executing Makoto for us surely would be a violation of your rules, which I know you love so much. If the blackened is exposed, they alone will be executed. That's what you told us, right? Does that mean I lose? You talk a big game. You're saying the blackened is me and not Makoto?
Well?
And you can prove this, right?
Well,
No, I can't. Don't say it just like that. What is this? A comedy routine? You make such bold claims without a shred of evidence.
that doesn't matter.
I don't have any right now, but a little more time I guarantee I'll find some.
That's right.
Because no matter how deeply you try to bury it, there is only ever one absolute truth. And now you're trying to talk like some kind of famous detective type?
Because
If Makoto really was the killer, he would never have come to you willingly like this. He would have feared for his life, feared another execution. He would have tried to run and hide. He would have been gripped by the despair you so love to inspire.
however,
But here we are, confronting you with nothing but hope in our hearts.
What the heck?
And that's supposed to be enough to convince me in the absence of evidence?
indeed.
It's not you I'm trying to convince.
Hey,
If you were to execute Makoto now, everyone out there watching this would be extremely displeased. Huh?
indeed.
Imagine what everyone out there would think if you killed Makoto. They would assume that you killed him because what we said is exactly right.
Listen to me.
Despair can never kill hope. Grr.
Hey,
Of course, you can say we're just making all this up. You're welcome to prove us wrong. No, you have no choice but to prove it. And because if you kill Makoto without proving your own innocence, you'll be accepting your own defeat. If you want to earn our despair fair and
that's
square,
what we have to do.
then I suggest you take my advice. So, what is this advice of yours?
It's true.
To do Mukuro's trial over again. Only this time, you follow the school regulations to ensure a fair trial.
It's time for one last showdown. One final battle between hope and despair. Hey,
Well, that would make for a proper climax, wouldn't you say? A fair trial, one last showdown. In other words, this would be our chance to expose the true identity of Mukuro's killer, of the mastermind themselves. But what reason would the mastermind have to accept the challenge? They'd probably just execute me without another word. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Very?
What's wrong?
Oh, I was getting bored, so I decided to change things up a little. So, time for bear jokes. Now, what you've suggested might be possible. Like pause, possible. It would, like bear paws. It would certainly make for one honey of a climax.
in other words,
Does that mean you accept?
You guys!
If we do things your way, that will be enough to convince you and the viewers, right? And it will cause you unbearable pain, right? Like bear pain, get it? Then I'll prepare to agree to your terms. Will your hope win out, or will my despair, oh my, what I said before, despair, claim victory?
I can barely contain myself!
Let's have one final grisly showdown. You agree? Then we still have a shot at this.
Hear it!
But this is a long way to climax, right? Just guessing the killer is barely a fitting end.
Guys?
So in this final show up, y'all have to unearth all the mysteries that have been buried here. All the mysteries. That's right, every last mystery that's been pawing around this school. And if you can do that,
I can barely contain myself.
then that'll be enough to qualify as a victory for you.
It's true.
That's what we've been trying to do all along. Okay, well, good. Then let's bear it all. If you can claw your way to the truth of Mukuro's death and solve the mysteries of the school,
Guys?
then you win. But if you can't do all that, well, face execution, right? I can barely contain my excitement. When you learn the whole truth, what kind of despair will you show me? We're excited as you are, I'm sure.
Listen to me.
When we've uncovered every last truth, how will the ultimate despair reveal their own despair? I honestly can't believe how this all turned out.
Hey,
But before we get started, I want to clarify one more thing. Do you remember the rule? When one student kills another, that's when a class trial is held.
What's wrong?
I remember that for sure. So what? I want to confirm that is what you said, right? That's a true statement? You don't have to be so suspicious. I've said it before, but it bears repeating. Everything is based on the school's regulations. And having a trial for Mukuro is no exception to that. Huh? Mukuro's trial is no exception? Then it's part of the regulations? Which would have to mean whoever killed Mukuro? It's a very polarizing approach, I know, but okay, enough puns. Anyway, here's a hint. I'm sure I told you this already, but this killing game began when 16 participants, all of them high school students, and the only people to take part a single step in Hope's Peak since the killing game began are those 16 students. What?
listen.
Are you telling the truth? Why do you go quiet all of a sudden?
Now I'm really angry.
I'm done talking. I got nothing left to say to you. So get lost, would ya? Why so mad? He seems emotionally unstable.
Hey,
Leave me alone. Get out of here. Okay, I'm just going. You really gonna let me go? I don't even care anymore. You're all gonna get your punishment later anyway. I need to start getting it ready. A super duper extra special punishment, overflowing with despair.
Hey,
Come on, Makoto. Let's go. Okay. Monokuma's unstable laughter seemed to cling to us as we walked away. Just like that, we were out of the gym. I could hardly believe it, but somehow I ended up not getting executed. I still have my life. We still have a chance. Overall, things turned out way better than I expected. Once again, I was in Kyoko's debt. Kyoko, thank you. Everything I have right now is because of
However-
you. Don't thank me just yet. The real battle is still ahead of us. Yeah, true. But still, I'm glad it worked out. I wasn't sure if the enemy would accept my proposal. But honestly, why would the mastermind agree to that? I mean, they don't stand to gain anything from a final showdown, do they?
so
They had no choice but to accept, huh?
because
It's all because of that one moment that the mastermind let their guard down, like I said. So when was it that the mastermind let their guard down?
so
I wasn't there to hear it myself, but do you remember what the mastermind said? They said they had hijacked the airways to broadcast our school life to the outside world, right? Yeah, they definitely said that.
listen.
And what did you think when you heard that? Pretty hard to believe, right? Well, I mean, the idea of actually taking over the airways seems so unbelievable.
Indeed.
You don't exactly read about something like that happening very often, so it's hard to imagine. In other words, that kind of thing is extremely difficult to pull
However,
off. And yet somehow the mastermind was able to
in
do
other
it.
words,
But think of it another way. There must have been some reason they had to do something that difficult. A reason.
so
They had to show the world something, no matter the cost. Us killing each other. They wanted to show the world?
it would seem
The mastermind has been very adamant about not killing us directly, but forcing us to kill each other. And all their rules and regulations were designed to encourage that. Yeah, that makes sense, but those stupid regulations didn't exist. Nobody would have killed anybody.
in other words.
So that mastermind's ultimate goal was to make us kill each other and show that off to the world. So is this Byakuya Togami? Is he the mastermind? There's no way, surely. But why?
Correct.
To prove a point, most likely. To prove a point. The outside world has a name for the students of Hope's Peak, right? A certain concept. You're talking about hope, right?
That's right.
And for those of us represent hope to kill each other and sink into despair. The mastermind wants the world to see that and try to prove their despair is better than hope. That's their goal, as the ultimate despair. What? They want to prove that despair is better than hope? But that is ridiculous.
It's true.
You're right. It is ridiculous. Completely irrational. It's the kind of thing that nobody but those who call themselves the ultimate despair would devise. That group whose only purpose and motivation comes from despair. But is that really their only reason for making the rest of us suffer? I know how angry it must make you, and yet, that's the same motivation is what led the mastermind to reveal their weakness. What?
In other words,
Because their goal is to broadcast this killing game to the world. The mastermind has had to be more particular than is reasonable about their own regulations. If the mastermind simply ignored their rules, this wouldn't have been a game, but a one-sided slaughter.
at the very least,
At least, that's how those who watching this would have seen it. And that's why the mastermind couldn't kill any of us themselves.
indeed.
That is precisely the reason. No matter how much that I may hate what I'm doing, I haven't violated a single one of their regulations. Junko broke the rules, so she was punished, but in my case, they couldn't lay a finger on me.
Right.
So instead, they tried to use the class trial, following all their proper rules to get me killed. They began a trial that didn't have a right answer, then made me out to be the killer. But that didn't even work.
It's true.
Yes, thanks to you. And due to that failure, the mastermind took yet another risk. They attempted to kill you instead, who also was not the killer. And then, when the fact was exposed on live television to the entire outside world, the mastermind had to accept your suggestion.
Indeed.
To prove to the world that despair is better than hope, they have to defeat us in perfect form.
In other words,
It would only do the mastermind harm to have it shown that they violated their own regulations. But all of that was just a hunch, right? And you were still able to get the mastermind to accept your challenge.
however,
Well, it's only thanks to you that we got that chance. It's because you believed in me. Another path we opened up. Still, I can't believe how much of the mastermind's thoughts and plans you were able to figure out. I didn't have the slightest clue.
wrong.
In the end, though, I couldn't prove any of it. It was just my reasoning. Essentially, I was making a bet.
Whew.
But it looks like I got it right. This time at least, I won the bet. She let out a quick sigh. I took it as a small sign of relief. To be honest, I haven't been that nervous in a long time. I totally couldn't tell you were nervous at all. You seemed totally confident from the moment we decided to go talk to him. Well, presenting a strong demeanor is a fundamental part of negotiation and persuasion, wouldn't you say? Plus, if I'd shown my uneasiness, that would have just made you that much more uneasy. Yeah, you're probably right. How pathetic.
However,
Anyway, we can't relax just yet. All we've done is earn another chance to fight. We have to win this
correct.
time. Or everything we gone through will have been for nothing. You're right. If we can't defeat the mastermind, it'll cost us our lives. There's no option except win.
Hey,
But before we begin the final battle, we have to tell the others what's going on. True, but now we know who our real enemy is. All we have to do is work together with everyone to destroy the mastermind. Work together with everyone.
however,
Is that really possible? Huh?
anyway,
Anyway, right now we have to go find
shall
the
we
others.
go?
They're probably in the dorm somewhere. Shall we go? They're not in the dining hall? And suddenly we were greeted with... You again. Is he broken? I suppose his emotional instability reached its limit. Jeez, what the heck?
However,
Oh, my light bulb just shut off. That was a little creepy. I wonder what that was all about. Like in real life. I couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Ah!
Is that Makoto?
You guys!
It is! There's no two ways about it. That's Makoto.
Oh, Toko with a little angel.
You survived?
Jeez. You're like a stubborn little cockroach, you know that?
Oh, Byakuya.
I'm just asking to make sure, but you're not a ghost, right?
Everyone was there. All my friends who had struggled together and survived. As soon as I saw their faces, I couldn't help myself. I started to tear up.
What?
Wait, what's that smell?
What the heck?
Yeah, man, that seriously stinks. It's Makoto's. He smells like a wet dog. Get away, shoo. And in a flash, my tears dried up.
Makoto.
There's no time to indulge in an extended happy reunion. There's no time for trigger happy havoc. We need to explain to everyone what happened to Monokuma.
Yes.
Explain what? But is it okay that you're here? What if the mastermind catches you? That's related to what I have to tell you. I need to tell you all about the last class trial. The last class trial?
In other words,
We're going to redo Mukudo's trial.
Huh?
What, seriously?
How about that?
What's the point of redoing it? Makoto killed her, right? No, I didn't do it, like I keep telling you.
wrong.
Makoto isn't the killer, and of course it's not me or any of you. Then who is it?
I see.
What she's trying to say is it was all the work of the mastermind.
Huh?
What? You're saying the mastermind killed Makoto?
That's right.
Oh. That's right. It was all a desperate, elaborate trap contrived by the mastermind. Makoto spotted this trap in time and did what he had to do to stop it.
However,
But his decision meant that he would not be the one to die.
What did you say?
You spotted the trap, did you, Makoto? You make it sound like it was easy. I just,
however,
But executing Makoto, who wasn't the Blackened, is a clear violation of the school regulations. The rules state that only the Blackened is to be executed. The mastermind broke their own rules. Which is why I went and negotiated with them to have the trial one more time. And the mastermind agreed? What does that mean? That they really did break the rules? They have no choice but to agree. You used the TV broadcast to gain leverage you needed, didn't you?
correct.
Very observant of you.
Naturally.
I recall what you said that on the last trial, when you said, now it's the mastermind that's ensnared. That's what you were referring to.
Don't be mean!
I can't do multiple voices anymore. Hey, I'm totally in the dark here. For anyone who doesn't understand, you can ask Kyoko to explain it later. So, knowing all this, what do we do now?
About that.
It's about who killed Mukuro, right? So our job is to expose the mastermind. But there's more to it than that, correct? Yeah. For us to win here, we have to solve every last mystery surrounding the school. Every last mystery? But we've been looking around all this time and we still don't know anything, right?
Anyway,
You've probably guessed already, but if we lose this time, everyone dies. Everyone! Hey, who said you could agree to those terms without talking to the rest of us? I'm fine with things the way they are. I'm fine living here forever with my master. I, meanwhile, want to get out of here as soon as humanly possible. Anyway, at this point, the only way for us to survive is to unravel the truth. In other words, one decisive final battle. A rather interesting concept, I'd say. But figuring out who the mastermind is and how they killed Mukuro and all the school's mysteries. It's a pretty friggin' tall order. Maybe, but this time the trial's different. We know who our real enemy is now. But if we work together and search as hard as we can, I'm sure we'll solve all those mysteries. I'm not so sure about that. Huh? I can't agree with the idea of working together with everyone. You can't agree, why not? I mean, working together with everyone seems like the most obvious way to solve all the mysteries.
Indeed.
That's what I thought too, at first. Until Monokuma gave us that little hint of his. It's a very polarizing approach, I know. But okay, not puns. Anyway, here's a hint. I'm sure you told you already. This killing game began with 16 participants, all of them high school students. And the only people to take single step in Hope's Peak since the killing game began are those 16 students.
I see.
Monokuma said that, did he? Then, Kyoko's opinion is perfectly reasonable. Huh? But why?
So, in other words,
If the mastermind really is the one who killed Mukuro, as Kyoko says, then the mastermind would have had to set foot in the school, right? Monokuma could probably murder Mukuro, but there's no way he could have disguised the scene like that.
in other words,
But according to Monokuma, the only people who set foot in Hope's Peak are the 16 students who have been taking part in the killing game. Then the mastermind is... There were 15 of us in the main hall at the very beginning. And in Mukuro, you get 16. So the mastermind would have to be one of them?
that's right.
And of those 16 people we started out with, the only ones still alive are the people standing right here. Need I continue? Or do you understand by now? You're saying the mastermind is one of us?
Wait!
You can't be serious. Wait. I mean, I've been spoiled a little already. Maybe? I don't even know if it's actual spoiler. I know that Hina, there's something over with Hina. And also Hina's swimsuit from like before the first class trial is very sus because the pool was not open yet and she was already swimming. Why would she have to hang her swimsuit to dry if she didn't have access to the pool and didn't swim? Unless she swam in the shower, then she is just really, really kinky. Now, wait, we can't say that for that's true yet. Monokuma might have just said all that to confuse us.
Indeed.
It's certainly a possibility, but one among many. The mastermind being one of us is also a possibility. And that is one possibility we can't ignore. Yeah, I mean, they are an ultimate, right? The ultimate despair. So they must be a high schooler. You can't say it's not possible. But if one of us is the mastermind, they will have to be controlling Monokuma somehow, right? But did you ever see anyone acting suspicious anytime Monokuma was active?
Well,
Maybe they stuck off and controlled him in secret.
but
I don't care how sneaky you are. We would have noticed someone sneaking off that many times.
I'm right, right?
Then maybe Monokuma was on autopilot. Maybe they loaded all the dialogue and actions beforehand. In that case, there's no way he could have had all those back and forth conversations with us. Well, it wouldn't have been entirely possible. But if they directed the flow of the conversation, well, maybe, but still.
This is a school announcement. You've all probably figured this out by now, but at this point, the killing game has now entered true ending mode. So, in the name of fairness, I will unlock every room in the school. Look wherever you want. Solve the mystery in whatever way you see fit. Then we can all meet up at the class trial, okay?
How magnanimous of him to unlock all the rooms.
That's fine.
The time for talk is done. Now we need to begin our investigation. But I was planning on working alone from the beginning anyway.
In the name of my family.
At this point, I can rely only on myself, on the Togami blood flowing through my veins. Byakuya Togami said, I have no time to worry about the rest of you. Each of you must uphold your responsibility.
Goodbye.
Well then. After making his final statement, Byakuya left the dining hall. God, master! He didn't take me with him.
Hey.
Do you blame him? Without master, the rest of you are like coffee with cream without the cream. Or coffee. You're totally useless. So bye. With that, Toko trudged out of the dining hall. And now she is gone. Are you gonna go out by yourself? You're gonna go out by yourself, right, Kyoko?
Indeed.
That's right. Which just leaves Makoto, Hina, and me.
You know?
In that case, I'm gonna go by myself too.
just a second.
Wait, how come?
How about that?
Just wait and see. I'm gonna use my totally awesome spirit power to figure out the mastermind's identity. Laughing loudly, Hiro left the dining hall. Everyone's really gonna go out by themselves? What about you, Hina? I guess I'll do the same thing.
But
I mean, it's not like I don't trust everyone, you know?
'Cause, I mean,
But up till now, haven't really been all that useful. I just depended on Sakura and everyone else. You're not useless. If you hadn't been here, I would have died. Makoto. That's really nice of you to say. But still, I know I've mostly been useless.
okay.
So I figure at least here at the end, maybe I can find out something that will help us get out of here. So I'm gonna go off and do it all on my own. Okay, see you later. Hina was surprisingly high spirit as she dashed off out of the night. And once again, it's just us two.
Indeed.
Indeed. So you're really gonna go off your own,
However-
right, Kyoko? Well, don't misunderstand. Just because we're going to do our own searches separately doesn't mean we can still work together.
So-
That goes for all of us. I see what you mean. Doing our own investigation doesn't mean we can't work together in the end. I should just see it as splitting up to cover more ground. And then we can get back together and share what we found. Yeah, that's right.
So then,
I'd better get going. I have an endless list of things I need to check.
correct.
Monokuma said all the doors in the school have been unlocked, right? So we should be able to investigate every nook and cranny in the school. We can visit all the places we couldn't go before. Makoto, whatever it takes, we have to uncover the truth. By any means necessary. With that, Kyoko is gone, leaving only me. I don't have time to waste either. I have to begin my search. I still can't believe the mastermind might be one of us. So that's what I have to prove. I'll prove that the mastermind isn't one of us. I'll expose the mastermind's true identity and solve the mystery of the school. And then we can all escape together. I guess I'll start by taking another look at Mukuro's Monokuma file. Due to the explosion, the victim's identity is unknown. They were, however, dead before the blast. The victim had been stabbed a single time with a knife, which went completely through her body. They had also struck in the head with a object about as thick as a metal pipe. The body was covered with other wounds, but these were at least several days old. Once we find out who killed Mukuro Ikusaba, then we'll know who the mastermind is. So, where should I start my investigation to figure out who killed her? I guess I should start with the rooms that were locked up until now. The headmaster room, the biolab, and the door in the data center with Monokuma's face on it. Oh, and the second floor dorms where the gate was down before. That should be open now, right? After that, I'll have to double check the areas that are connected to murder, which means the garden and the dojo. Okay, time to get started. Oh, that's a lot. Places to check. Okay, I can check that anytime. Alright guys, thank you for watching this episode of Danganronpa. Trigger Happy Havoc. And next episode, we're gonna do all the investigations, so you might want to tune in for that. Otherwise, the final investigation will be probably kind of empty. Final class trial will be kind of empty, and you'll just, I guess it's fine to just see all this stuff when it pops up in the class trial, but I think it'd be more interesting if you see the evidence. So be sure to tune in for the next episode, and see you guys later.